Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, recently we got to see the brand new tank for the Star Citizen universe, the Tumbril Nova, and my reaction to it, I said, there's nothing immediately wrong with it. I kind of dig it, the fact that it's like a multi-crew vehicle. I like it. It's a cool idea, but everyone, even now, people are probably noticing that I'm a little bit cagey about it. I'm a little bit, I'm not really all that enthusiastic about it. And so this is something that often with a lot of ships, people will say, oh, like, you don't like it? Why don't you like it? It's a great ship. And you have to understand that I see things from the point of view of a pirate. Now, of course, I am someone who really likes tanks. I'm very enthusiastic about tanks. How much, you say? Well, let me show you. The idea of, using tanks in video games is certainly nothing new to me, and I derive a lot of enjoyment from driving around and playing with tanks. So you would think that maybe the Tumbril Nova would be something that I would be very enthusiastic about. And ordinarily, yeah, if I had chosen a different path in Star Citizen, it might be something I'd be extremely enthusiastic about. I mean, the idea of perhaps landing armored forces to take an objective on this moon or that moon. If I was in some form of mercenary organization and I had some kind of ship where I could deliver a couple of these, I could maybe gather the right people together and make some kind of armored expeditionary force out for hire on different planets to help people complete missions, whatnot, that sort of thing. That might be an idea I'd like to explore, but I've chosen more of the pirate route, which means kind of get in, get out fast, don't hang around too long, and linger and just say, here's an open chance to hit me back. And the problem with an armored vehicle, obviously, is there's going to be quite a logistical train that goes behind this armored vehicle. There's going to be quite a process to landing it on a planet and getting it around, whereas something like a Drake Dragonfly, it can fly, get around a planet fairly decently, whereas a Tumbril Nova is, it's a ground vehicle. It's trapped right down there on the ground, so it may not be able to extricate itself from a bad situation, and it's not going to be something that travels all that quickly. So you're probably going to have to land it fairly close to your objective, so that might impact your ability to surprise whoever you're attacking. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm not all that enthusiastic about a Tumbril Nova. It's not to say that it's a bad vehicle or a bad idea for Star Citizen. I just, I look at it and I go, clearly there's going to be a logistical train behind that, and is that something that I want to support? Probably not. It's going to be something that's going to be fairly big, fairly unwieldy, and in the end, as a pirate, you have to be quick, you have to be nimble, and you can't always linger around, waiting for everyone else in the ship and all the other stuff to catch up and then get everything all set up, get everything all placed, and then move ahead. Being a pirate really isn't kind of conducive to that type of gameplay, or at least being a successful pirate probably isn't very conducive to that type of gameplay. You have to be able to kind of react to your situation quickly, and you have to know what's going on, and having vehicles kind of trapped down there on the ground moving around very slowly isn't going to really give you the flexibility or the mobility you need to deal with certain situations. Now, that might remove you from certain content, or at least make certain content difficult. Obviously, having a large armored vehicle that can siege a difficult objective would probably be a great idea, and obviously the inherent resilience that presents would be something that would be highly desirable on the battlefield. But that can also be a detriment depending on what your overall, strategic, or I guess what your overall tactical build looks like, how you plan to achieve your objectives. One of the things you have to realize is you have to accept certain tactical realities. You can't just build around a dream. You have to kind of accept the fact that certain things are going to be a certain way. And even though in an ideal world, yeah, I'd love to drive a Tumbril Nova, truth be told, the game is probably not going to pan out in such a way that would allow me to indulge in that in any way that would kind of make it worthwhile to spend real money on it, when I can just wait until it's in game and, you know, put one in a hangar somewhere, and who knows, maybe one day I'll get to use it. I mean, realistically, from the way I see things, and I've said it before, is I look at the game and I try to make good I try to make good decisions. You know, unlike this Cromwell over here, who has just made a very terrible decision. You know, I try to look at it as I want to make sure that I've laid the strongest foundation possible for when I get in the game. And even though a Tumbril Nova might be something really cool down the road, right now there's a lot of unanswered questions. What can you use to get it to a planet? What are the real logistical problems that you're going to face when handling a vehicle like this? I mean, it's kind of slow and unwieldy, and so I don't think it's going to work out very well for piracy. Now, that may turn out to be completely untrue down the road, but it doesn't preclude me from being able to buy one in the universe for in-game money once that's, once those things have been established to be true or not. Like, I don't really have to worry about it too much right now. I mean, it's not something that's really kind of core to what's going to allow me to achieve my primary objective, which is piracy in the universe. So, it's something that I set off to the side. It's not something that I think it's a terrible idea. I mean, certainly if you're out there and you're saying, hey, this is exactly what I want to build. I want to build, like some type of marine expeditionary force in the Star Citizen universe, and this is right up my alley, then more power to you. But for me, you have to understand the realities of, my tactical reality that I'm kind of trapped in. Not really trapped, but where I've decided to place myself. A vehicle like that there are just simply too many unanswered questions around it for me to say, hey, this is a good place to put $100 versus somewhere else. You really sometimes you have to kind of sit back and look at things and say, what's primary, what's important. And I mean, in a space game, obviously it's getting from planet to planet and so on and so forth. And there are just so many things in ground combat, since we realistically haven't seen anything approaching what ground combat is meant to be or supposed to be or going to be in Star Citizen. I mean, we've had a few firefights at various landing sites at various locations, but we really haven't seen, full-fledged team effort type ground combat happen in Star Citizen. So I think that is a tank something I would like to see in the game? Cool, if it's called for, but I don't think that we're there yet, where we can actually say, is this going to be practical? Is it going to be useful? I don't know. So I kind of hold back and I kind of stay for the more, I think what are the safer bets, especially for someone in the position that I'm in and wanting to do the things that I want to do. So just because, I look at something and say, I don't know about that. Sometimes, yeah, there are some ships that are kind of, not so great, but then there are other ones where it's like, yeah, it's a cool idea, but I would like to understand more about, the systems in the game that are going to make a ship like that possible. You can look at something like the Reclaimer and say, well, what's a Reclaimer going to do? Well, obviously in a space combat game, there's going to be a lot of wrecks, and there's going to be a lot of ships getting blown up or destroyed, so a salvage ship doesn't seem that far-fetched, but ground combat with a tank, especially for someone in my position, even though love tanks, I don't know. It seems like it's more of a wait and see type thing. The Nova might end up being an amazing thing. I mean, you got to think about it, like the team gameplay aspect of the Nova, having more than one person in it, because obviously it's not going to operate like a tank in World of Tanks. It's going to be something where you got like your two people down inside of the tank kind of driving it and operating it, while the owner or the commander of the tank is steering the turret, using the gun, that sort of thing. That could be really interesting, and that could be some really, really fun gameplay. But for me, I still, like, there's still that part of me that kind of wants them to, shake this software up a little bit and shake out all those loose nuts and bolts and get things running smoothly and give us a better idea of how all this is going to work and how we're going to get a Tumbril Nova to the surface of a planet in a timely fashion before I jump into that. But yeah, so I guess in the end, just because I'm not enthusiastic about something doesn't mean that it's automatically like a terrible thing. Like, oh, Minions Huddle was terrible. No, it's just there are certain things that I'm going to be a little bit more enthused about because they have a real practical purpose right here and now, versus something that may or may not, depending on some systems that we have yet to see. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42 development, please follow us on our social media channels.